Hello, everybody. We're going to start learning about the 613 mitzvot. Taryag mitzvot in the Torah, 613 mitzvot. And I would like now to start a series to go through the 613 mitzvot. Now, we have to understand the Torah is made up of not just mitzvot. The book, the Torah, is made up of mitzvot. It's also made up of Torah. And I'll explain what I mean. The Torah tells us in the book of Shemot that when Hashem called Moshe Rabbeinu up onto Har Sinai, Hashem said to him like this, and it's a pasuk in Perek Chav Daled in Sefer Shmois, pasuk Yud Beis. And the Torah says like this, Hashem says to Moshe, Alei alai hahara, come up on the mountain, v'heyesham, ve'etna lecha, and I will give to you as luchot ha'evan, I'll give to you the tablets, ve'ha-Torah, and the Torah, ve'ha-mitzvah, and the mitzvah. Now, what does that mean? I'm going to give you the tablets, okay, that I understand. I'm going to give you the Torah and the mitzvah. It's the same thing. The Torah is the book that holds the mitzvahs. The Torah is the book that holds the mitzvot. What's the two things? So the Ramban explains the word Torah is the whole Torah, which has in it a lot of things that aren't mitzvot. All the stories about Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, creation of the world, Adam, Arish, and Chava, Cain and Hevel, the Shvatim, Jews going to Egypt, coming out of Egypt, Paro, Ten Makot, no mitzvot there. The whole book of Bereshit has 3 mitzvot in it. It's just stories. So all the stories that are in the Torah are called Torah. Now, Torah means to teach. It means teachings. But it's not mitzvot. There's a teaching. In every word of the Torah, there's something to be learned. The Torah is constantly teaching. It's not just a history book. The part of Torah that isn't mitzvot, that are just stories, that's called Torah, which means teachings, and that's one part. Then there's the part of the Torah that's actual mitzvot. So we're going to focus on the actual mitzvot. How many mitzvot are there in the Torah? 613. Ramach, 248. Asay, Shasa, Shin, Samachay, 365. Lotasay. Okay, so 248 positive commandments, 365 negative commandments, and that makes up the 613 commandments. Now, the Gemara tells us this number 613. The fact that there's 613 commandments is not because if you or I would sit and count all the commandments in the Torah, we'd come up with 613. We would not necessarily. We would come up with much more. But the Gemara tells us there are 613 commandments in the Torah. The Gemara says, Torah tziva lanu Moshe. Torah. Now the gematria of Torah is 611. Torah, Taf, Vav, Resh, Hey, is 611. And the Gemara explains, Moshe taught us 611 commandments. 2 commandments Hashem told us. Anochi, Hashem Lokecha, and Lo Yeh Lecha Elohim Acherim. I am Hashem your God, and you should not have any other gods. Those 2 mitzvot came directly from God. We know the first 2 commandments God told us. So it's 611 Moshe taught us, 2 God taught us, which makes up 613. That's a Gemara. But which mitzvot exactly are the 613 is not clear. Because really, if you and I would count, it would come to more than 613. But the number 613 is a Gemara number, and that number, what goes into that number of 613, which are the 613 basic klalim, categories of mitzvot, that is a dispute, what exactly they are. We're going to study according to the opinion of the Sefer HaChinuch. His count of the 613, the Rambam made a count of 613, the Ramban made a count of 613. We will go and study, God willing, Bezrat Hashem, according to the Sefer HaChinuch's opinion of the 613 mitzvot. Have a great day.